The new now is here. You need an out-of-the-box user-friendly platform that will help you transition smoothly to the new normal. You need vSmart School. vSmart School is a one-stop teaching and learning online platform perfect for hybrid learning. This two-in-one system caters to your distance learning and classroom management needs. vSmart School supports self-paced, teacher-paced, asynchronous and synchronous formal education online. In vSmart School, students will attend daily online classes and access Vibal's DepEd-aligned digital curriculum from preschool to senior high school. Need content for college? We have them too! With the guidance of parents and teachers, students will follow DepEd's recommended day-to-day lesson calendar for an entire school year. Teachers using vSmart School can also create lessons, schedule classes, and monitor their students' progress. Most importantly, teachers can also live stream or securely conduct online classes through the platform's webinar feature. Looking for a perfect classroom management partner? vSmart School has got you covered as it boasts of an out-of-the-box learning management platform. It provides a library of gamified and interactive materials, a lesson plan repository mapped to the curriculum, assessment tools, and ebooks that feature augmented reality technology. This LMS component of vSmart School is integrated with a learning record system. This means that through the system, teachers and students can track their teaching and learning journey. Not just that, teachers can also monitor students' grades through an electronic grading sheet called Gradebook. And if you need to deploy tests online, you can do so with Test Guru, where you can enjoy thousands of free test questions ready for deployment through the Vibal Test Bank. See? All your distance learning needs are here in vSmart School. Packed with curriculum-aligned content, learners' progress reporting, and ebooks that are AR ready, vSmart School goes beyond the traditional classroom experience. The good news is, you can also enjoy the vSmart School experience without the internet connection through its mobile app. Downloadable from Google Play Store and Apple App Store. So what are you waiting for? Start your virtual classroom with vSmart School.
day, Kavibal, and welcome to our Facebook Live learning session. For the discussion today, the topic will be on technical and practical ways in teaching and learning. Before we begin, take note of the following reminders. Make sure you are registered to the webinar to have your e-certificate of participation. Visit certificate.vibalgroup.com to generate your proof of attendance. Place your questions on the comment box allotted during the session and they will be addressed by our speaker later on. Share the video using hashtag LearnAsOnePH as our official hashtag to our Vibal webinars. Experience learning, ka-Vibal? And now, to proceed with our webinar this morning, it is my pleasure to introduce to you our distinguished speaker today. Our speaker is one scholar ng bayan. He went to different UP campuses. He graduated at UP Los Baños with the course of Bachelor of Science in Development Communication. Also got his professional education teaching English certificate at UP Visayas. He had his master's degree in education in UP Cebu and his doctor's degree in philosophy in UP Diliman. Now, he is a professor in the College of Commerce, Business Faculty of Arts and Letters, and Faculty of Pharmacy and Accountancy in UST Manila. Let us all give a warm round of applause to Professor Emelito Sarmago.
Thank you so much, Jillian. Thank you so much. And it's me again. And I would like to greet all those who are watching as early as now. There is already 2,000 on Facebook. And greetings also to my friends in Cebu, those batchmates of mine who are excited for today's discussion or presentation. And before I'll share my screen, thank you, Jillian. And you'll be the moderator today, Jillian, am I correct? Jillian, can you see my screen already?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so definitely being a teacher of the Pontifical and Royal Catholic University of Santo Tomas, we will start our presentation with an opening prayer. So let us put ourselves in the holy presence of God, and you can read the lines with me. Again, these are not my prayers, and it's just a beautiful prayer for all of us. I shared this also last time, and if you want to share this to your classes also, you may do so. God of the universe, Lord of all time and space, you are the spirit of love and true connectivity, originator of emerging technologies and ever-evolving intelligences. You have given us both a gift and a challenge. Help us amid the endless tweets and data streams that daily saturate our consciousness. Immerse us in the power of your providence. Let it always be the well of wisdom from which we can draw meaning. Bless again this day and all our tools of technology, which await your power and our human effort as educators. Grant wisdom, understanding, and a clear sense of stewardship to us. Guide our hands, guard our clicks, that we may be your faithful servant with every key we press. Enable our humble efforts as we walk this information superhighway to bring glory to your name and blessings to your people everywhere, the life-giving energy of your spirit. Bless our heart with endless patience whenever needed. We pray for those who feel challenged in the face of technological change. Lord, we pray that technology may be the servant, not the controller of our lives. We lift this prayer through the power of your word and the life-giving energy of your spirit. Amen. Good morning once again. And Jillian, thank you for that very nice introduction. But I will be reintroducing myself, I hope you don't mind, in a more or less formal manner. Okay, my real name is Emelito, but I want you to call me Emil. Okay, Emil sounds, yeah, Emil sounds younger, or Emil sounds modern. I'm from Cebu. My parents are from Cebu, and definitely Cebuano. So sa tanang mga namati nato karon diha sa Cebu, sa Visayas, sa Mindanao, mayong buntag o welcome sa akong 1 hour nga talk. Greetings sa lahat ng ating mga friends also from all over the country. And we are now 2.7 thousand people are viewing this video live via Facebook right now. And I'm very happy. And again, thank you, Vibal, for inviting me once again. And as I'm always saying, when Vibal is always inviting me to talk in various locations all over the country, I will be introducing always myself as an accidental teacher, in the sense that when I finished broadcast communication or broadcasting, and then suddenly I shifted gear and then moved into teaching. And from that moment on, for 20 years now, I'm proud to say that I am happy. I'm a happy teacher. Quite challenged, but still I'm happy. I hope all of you who are listening right now, all teachers from all over the country, accidental or really destined to be one, still you're happy as of the moment. So definitely today, as Mitch told me, I will be just sharing to you my personal experiences and my struggles, my ups and downs, and some of the difficulties I was able to encounter in this, what we call the new normal. But since I know you're very tired or sick and tired of listening to new normal, we can change it into better normal. Okay, so sounds positive for that matter. So as I start my discussion, of course, I love to do reality check. Okay, so checking the reality of what's going on with our educational system, just focusing on the educational system. I don't want to talk about the government right now, just focusing on the educational system. Some teachers in private schools are losing their jobs. And it's very sad to note that, yeah, I saw this on the news several days ago, that some teachers are really finding ways to make ends meet because some private schools are already closing. And I told myself, I am very grateful I still have my job. And you too, those who are still having their jobs right now, be grateful of that, because in the real, a lot of teachers are struggling because a lot of private schools actually are closing. And hopefully if it's all over and done, we can go back to the normal, and then they'll be back to their jobs. We'll pray for them also. And of course, our learners, some of our learners, I saw this on the news, and I also browsed this through Facebook. This very, very amazing young boy of Bohol who has to let his grandfather bring him to this mountainous part of the or the hilly part of the place in Bohol, just to get the signal, and eager and willing for the teachers to deliver the things that he's supposed to be learning for the entire day or the duration of the day. Bless the learners as well, and we pray for them. So today I will be, again, it's more of a personal experience. I don't want to talk about theories, no more theories, because I know you're sick and tired of theories already, pedagogical and so on and so forth. But today I'll be just sharing to you some of my experiences, or my personal experiences in the struggles of online learning and so on and so forth. So I'll be sharing to you some of my experiences that I've been through. We are already in our 3rd week of enhanced online learning, online teaching in the university. So I'll be sharing to you some of the struggles that I encountered, and maybe you can learn also part of it. And also sometimes we can share notes on best experiences or best practices that we have in the university, or even yours in your chat box later on. Okay, so I call it better normal. Actually, it's not me who, I prefer to call it better normal rather than the new normal, because of so many reasons. And a lot of things happened in this better normal that I'll be very excited to share to you. Okay, since I only have 1 hour and 15 minutes, so I'll move on now to the understanding. Since I love to give a meme in my introductory, or to catch the attention of my audiences. And then this meme struck me the most. And I actually shared it in my Facebook page, or in my Facebook account just a while ago. And realizing the lessons that we can learn out of this very simple meme saying that, imagine designing this most perfect Olympics logo of all time, and then they have to move it to 2021. And then we did not stop there. Me say no more. 2021, why not? So basically, the things that we can learn out of this meme is very simple. There might be some struggles going on, but we have to do with it. And we, as a human being, Filipinos, known to be very resilient, we can overcome it. Okay, and it's going to be just a phase in our lives, and this too shall pass. Okay, I don't want to sound overly dramatic, but I want to share to you this very interesting quote from one of my favorite person in the whole world, Helen Keller. Although the world is full of suffering, it is also full of overcoming it. And I love to highlight the word overcoming, because me, for example, young as I am, I'm not really mature when it comes to the teaching profession, but still I am one of those who are very much not keen on the new technology, because I'm used to doing face-to-face discussion, the lecture, the actual test making, the smell of the paper when you give, or the freshly photocopied material and then give it to your classmates and your students. And then, but now no more. We cannot do that. No more photocopying, no more face-to-face. So we have to overcome it. And that's the beauty of this new normal now. So my title, actually, the complete title of my presentation today is The Technical and Practical Ways of Teaching and Learning in the Better Normal. Okay, but they cut it short in my poster, but they just ended up until teaching and learning. And of course, there is a very important note there, a personal experience. So basically, all the things that I'll be sharing today are my struggles and my pains and my heartaches and my achievements in one way or the other. Okay. So here are the objectives for today's presentation. After listening to my talk, the participants are expected to demonstrate understanding on the significant technical practices in the delivery of enhanced online learning, and of course, demonstrate understanding on the practical attributes in the delivery of enhanced online learning. So the technical as well as the practical aspects. Access to knowledge is the supreme act of truly great civilizations. So I know you are very adamant for online learning, because we are very much dependent on Wi-Fi connection. We depend our several years of teaching experiences with Wi-Fi and with internet connectivity and so on and so forth. But again, there will always be a way. It means that we have to access new knowledge. Because as teachers, we have to make sure that we can innovate, and we have to make sure that we are at pace with the technology and the new knowledge that we have to go in order for us to become better teachers. Okay, so here's my first part of my presentation, ways in teaching via educational technology. So the case of the University of Santo Tomas. So I'm just focusing on certain cases that I have based on what we are actually encountering in the university. And all the presentations will be very much related to my experience, or my personal experience that I have since the first time the university is telling us that it's about time for us to go online. But a lot of teachers are not taking it seriously. But now we have no choice. The University of Santo Tomas is strictly with a policy, coming up with a policy that it has to be strictly online this semester. So it is called an enhanced learning, and we have to rely on educational technology. So just a quick reminder, or just a quick look on what you've learned in various webinars that you've able to attend during the quarantine period. We define educational technology as, of course, have the study of ethical practice. So I want you to highlight that ethical practice. So basically, there should be certain moral dignity and value that we have to inculcate when we do the educational technology. And of course, it is supposed to facilitate learning in order for our learners to enhance their performance so that they can create, manage, and of course, take into account the technical or the technological processes and resources. And of course, these are the things or the new materials that we are facing, and we have to go with it. Okay, no turning back. So I'll be sharing to you the video is supposed to be, but I guess there is a problem with copyright with YouTube. So I will just be sharing to you this YouTube address or YouTube page, and then you can just click it, and then there is a very, very short 3 minutes or 4 minutes presentation of how UST Cloud Campus and the G Suite for Education is integrated into our learning system or into the educational technology. So today I will be getting some of the key snippets of what is it and how it's gonna be like in the educational technology. So basically, all members of the faculty members and students, even administrators and staff, we have the access of what we call the Blackboard Learn. And it is a very scary at first, honest to goodness. It's quite scary for the first timers, but when we realize, and thank you so much EdTech for all their efforts, for all their help in coming up with a seminar that for us to join. And sometimes because we are very hard-headed, we have a lot of questions, we have a lot of concerns, and their patience, wow, amazing. EdTech, thank you so much for all the patience that you give. Shout out to the EdTech people of USD. So basically in the course, in the USD website, we have this EdTech e-learning support links. And basically today I will be enumerating to you some of the things that are embedded there and maybe some of the ways and how we can go there so that I can share to you one of the practices that we have using our Blackboard Learn. I know you have your own, even Vibal, they have their own ways of dealing or what we call the LMS thing there. But here I'll be just sharing to you some of the elements that we have. And I would like to see that it's really very enticing. And EdTech came out with a web page, of course, or a website, and they have these taglines: redesigning teaching, reimagining learning, and reshaping the future. So as a teacher teaching via EdTech, what can we say? I mean, everything is there. We are supposed to be we are actually the pioneer and the leader in massive e-learning adoption in the Philippines. And sometimes because of the very relaxed, we tend not to go with the flow. But now, again, we have no choice. Everything is done through USD EdTech, and they are very busy these days. And all those EdTech people, again, thank you so much. A lot of concerns, a lot of issues, but you're always there, ever ready to assist us. So here is our webpage for the USD EdTech. And they also have their Facebook or social media account so that we can send message, for example, if there's trouble, or we can also share our findings, our successes in our classes via online and so on and so forth. And we can share learning experiences also via Facebook page. And all of us are really into this page as well. And there are a lot of also factors that EdTech is able to come up with, like the respondents, for example. This is for test taking, wherein to minimize cheating or to minimize, to increase the level of reliability and validity of test taking via online, they're able to come up with this material. Maybe some of you are very familiar with this already. And just to give you a snippet, all you got to do is to install it, and then we can make use of that. Yes, even EdTech come up with our very own Adobe, and these can be accessed also if you want to come up with certain presentations using the Adobe program. And of course, the thing I love so much about EdTech, the Office 365. And like me, for example, I have Mac, and Mac is a different, what do you call this, program or software embedded there. And it's the 365 that allows me to access PowerPoint, Excel, Word, and so on and so forth for free. And it's not just for one laptop. Even you have your tab, you can also have it for free via our EdTech. And again, thank you. We're so grateful for that, EdTech and USD, of course. So of course, in the understanding of our LMS system, we call it the Blackboard. Yes, I know you're very familiar with Blackboard applications. And of course, I'm not going to here to show you more of what Blackboard is, but basically we have to subscribe to this. The university has to pay a lot of money for this so that all our learners will have the uniform, basically the uniform way of learning through the online channel. And since, of course, we cannot, there are always ways of, we cannot perfect the technology yet. This is a very technical issue and we cannot solve it ourselves. So we have our USD Cloud Campus Support Ticket System, wherein we just to fill in this form, and then we can ask questions and we can ask what's going on, what's happening, and so on and so forth. And a technical assistance will be on our way as soon as possible. And the thing I love also with when it comes to EdTech is what's supposed to be seen in the YouTube, but I cannot play it here because of copyright thing. They have, or we are having our Google Drive. And I know there are a lot of seminars and webinars already included in the Google Drives. And the thing I love about it is that we can store materials via this drive. You can do edit with all the members of the organization, of the department, for example. We have drive shares and so on and so forth. Okay, so basically that's the first element that I'll be sharing to you today on the nature of how we do it in USD. And again, thank you so much, EdTech, for being there for us. So now let's move on to the ways in teaching and learning in the better normal via efficient course architecture. So basically, EdTech will never be alone in the learning process. So technically, they are very good at it. But now let's focus on the more aspect of being practical teachers. Okay, practical teaching is always necessary for us to consider, and we can never be practical and we can never be logical without our efficient course architecture, or what we call syllabus. So the university is very strict in the implementation that we have to follow. There will be minimal departure from it, but of course, in the entire sense of it all, it has to be followed because accordingly, and I quote, it is a contract between you, me, and my students. So here's just some of the examples. I'm just giving you some of the snippets of some of the ways in coming up with a course architecture. And taking it from John Lewis, nothing can stop the power of a committed and determined people to make society. And I believe that we teachers, we are the source of this difference. We can make our country, our society better. And it is us, the future, as what they say, and I quote, the future depends on us. So the future is too much to handle if you are not ready and you're not committed to what you have. Okay, so as teachers, we have to rely, aside from the technical aspect of it all, we have to have a very strong foundation in the knowledge of coming up with our own course architecture. We call it course architecture in the university, and we love it because it holds true that really we are architects of learning. Okay, so course architecture is, of course, our guide to the course that will be expected of the course, and generally it will include policies, rules, regulations, required texts, and schedule of assignments, and so on and so forth. So basically, in this new normal, we should never let go of the basic elements or the most practical way in order to go with learning with our learners, and they are very much dependent on this. So here is how it looks like. So it's a course plan and then the subject matter involved there. So basically we have the course information, we have the course title. For the purpose of privacy, I just took note some of the elements there. So we have the credit units and the necessary prerequisites, of course. If there's none, they just put NA. Then class hours, 3 hours lecture per week. So 1 week, basically, yeah, 3 hours, and then the asynchronous lecture, and then the asynchronous also for another 3 hours. So basically, there will be a course description. It should be very much detailed, and there should be like the focus, and there should be at the end of the course what will be the expected general outcome for that matter. Okay, and of course we have the course intended learning outcomes. We have the silo, the pilo, and we have to know this by heart, and we have to undergo trainings and seminars on this in order for us to know how to do it and how to materialize in coming up with such course architecture. Aside from that, there should be the US division and mission to be considered in the course architecture, realizing, and so on and so forth, mission. And then of course, our Thomasian core values, the competence, commitment, and compassion. And of course, the THOGA, or the Thomasian graduate attributes. They should be working hand in hand until coming up with the ILOs, or the institutional intended learning outcomes. It has to be checked properly. There is a specific office responsible in mastering and getting all the necessary information in coming up with this. Although, yeah, we teachers are the one creating this, but there is always a general body of knowledge or people who will be much responsible to double check if we are doing it right. Of course, there is also the college-based or the faculty-based vision mission of the program, educational objectives, and of course, the learning outcomes. Each college or faculty in the university will have the mission and the vision associated with the program educational objectives, and of course, what we have there, program learning outcomes. And generally, it is also very important to come up with a rationalization on what model of the instructional design are we following. This college, of which I am teaching at this semester, is really keen on the use of the ADDIE model, and it has to be explained also in the syllabus of your learners. Again, all these materials will also be given to the students even before the onset of our first day of class. They have to first before we come up with a very short orientation about the matter. So the course design and how it's being part of it all, and how it's being explained, and why it's very necessary for us to take note. Of course, we cannot have a very effective course architecture if we don't have the course alignment matrix, which has to have the codes. Yeah, the THOGA, for example, L for lifelong learning, A for A and SEA, lifelong learning for L, but elements like that, and E for excellent communicators and collaborators, effective, excellent creative, and so on and so forth. So in the understanding of the Thomasian graduate attributes, it has to be enumerated first, then the program learning outcomes, 1, 2, 3, the PILO a while ago I was saying to you, and then the course intended learning outcomes, what are the necessary things that we are expecting of, and then the levels of emphasis, which is D, which stands for the demonstrative learning, I stands for introductory learning, and E standing for enabling. Okay, so all these elements may be crucial and very difficult sometimes, but of course we adhere to this, and this is the heart and soul of our teaching. And finally, our course architecture matrix, which is done via weekly basis, bearing the following preliminary information, such as the preliminary period, week number 1, the course content, what will be taking place in the first synchronous class, and then the ILO, and then the suggested teaching and learning activities, and then the assessment task that goes along with it, tasks that go along with it. So yes, to some point, yes, it will be very tasking, but these are very helpful in order for us to have a focus on what we're supposed to do and to really know and become really the master of content. Because as teachers, we have to be the masters of content, okay? And that is the most practical way of being proud of who you are as a teacher. Maybe on the technical side, we are struggling, but always make sure that you are here eager and willing to show what you've got as a teacher based on your content knowledge. Okay, so the third part, we're already on the third part of our discussion. It's going to be quick, actually. So here are the ways in teaching and learning in the better normal via the learning management system. So I'll bring you now to how actually we do it in our normal day-to-day synchronous and even asynchronous classes. Okay, so just quick, and again, I'll start it with the quote from Willa Cather, which means which says, and I quote, "There are some things you learn best in calm, and some in storm." And but still, maybe it's stormy or be it very calm, there is always a learning process. And right now, I know some of you are struggling, or a lot of us are struggling in this new storm we call online learning. But again, just relax, take it easy. Everything will be just fine as long as you're focused on what you're doing. Okay? There will be some hesitations at first, and always remember to ask help. There is always help available. Okay? So a learning management system, just a quick review, is a software application for the administration, documentation, tracking, reporting, automation, and delivery of educational courses, training programs, or learning and development programs for that matter. So be aware of that. You have a very good grasp of this, and you have to make sure that you're able to come up with the best LMS, the best workable LMS for you in your situation. And a lot of us might be having a different type of it, but as long as it will work, whatever is best, then go for it. Okay, so basically every time I go to my classes, and you will see, and I will see this. Okay, the first thing that I have to see on the right, the left side, starting with the UST Cloud Campus, and then my name, and I feel happy to see my name there, telling me, as if telling me that you are, okay, you are the captain of the ship. And you have to bring your students to the actual place that they have to be and they have to go. Okay, so from that first slide alone, my first personal data, I can change the picture whenever I want to and change it into, although it's advisable to have our picture a really image, but we are free actually to put anything there. It could be Jose Rizal, it could be a caricature, and so on and so forth. But as long as there is a name and of course the email ad so that students can easily access this for that matter. And then afterwards, after that first page, we all are going to have the activity stream. And in the activity stream, it is our way, or it is EdTech's way of checking if we're actually doing what is supposed to be in our course architecture. And also us to take note on what are the things that we do actually. Like for example, 22 hours ago, based on this material, submission of the reaction paper and the proposed advocacy topic has already been mentioned in the acknowledgement and so on and so forth. Okay, next, afterwards, we move on to courses. Oh, wait, where's the courses? There, that's the courses. And then courses, of course, will generate information or knowledge. The courses, of course, will enumerate all the active courses that you have for the given semester. And one thing I love about USD is that not to overburden the students, we, the Faculty of Arts and Letters specifically, came up with this very interesting mode of delivery wherein we have this the term was like, instead of the entire semester, we have it into 2 terms wherein three sections will be taken care in the first half, and then 3 others will be taken in the other half of the semester. So basically, the other it's going to be like lessening the amount of subjects that they have to take in a given semester for that matter, which is for me is a very good, although struggle to us, especially if it's very close scheduled discussion. So we have to rely much, but at least for the students, it's also very good for them. Okay, so we have the calendar also, then also messages, they can message me, and then the grade system or the grades, and then the tools, the Google Drive, which I'll discuss later on, and so on and so forth. Okay, so basically, that's it. This is some of the elements that I will be undergoing right now. Like since they're not able to submit it yet, this is the course content, and we have discussion boards. Then I can even come up with a new discussion, and all you got to do is to make sure that the setting is there, and then type whatever you want to discuss to them. And then what else? Grade book. We also have the grade book. Yeah, and then messages again. And then we can also do course analytics on whatever they done in some of the major requirements for the course. And then example of content settings for message board. Then here's the list of students if I want to check the attendance. Yeah, and then I can actually come up with the groupings. They can allow that. Of course, attendance checking is necessary. I can make announcements, very important. I can even store question bank or questions in the question banks. Yeah. And basically, yeah, I want to if I want to go to the collaboration, which is the next thing, I can also do that. Okay, so just a quick recall that everything is going to be very easy. Okay, we have two types actually of Blackboard. There is the classic and there is the ultra. If you want the classic, the more seasoned, very good people for technical aspect of it are really keen in it. But for us, we prefer the ultra because it's very users friendly and it's very easy to navigate. And if you got questions, it's going to be easy for you to find help in dealing with it. Okay, so in the LMS, so we'll now proceed with the fourth part of the discussion, which is in our BB in the LMS, we have this what we call BB Collaborate. Okay, so since we cannot do face-to-face communication now, it is very important to collaborate still, and we create synchronous discussion, and we have to give them instructions, for example. And the best way to do that based on our LMS is what we call the BB Collaborate or the Blackboard Collaborate. So I'll breeze you through some of the aspects that we have to consider in coming up with the BB Collaborate. But before that, I started with a quote from Quincy Adams, John Quincy Adams. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn. Remember, as teachers, we are leaders in our own simple ways. We are in our own simple rights. We are leaders of these young people who are very much keen to learn, who will climb up the trees just to get the signal, who is very much eager to borrow books from someone else just to learn something out of us. Okay, and of course, it is our obligation also that we have to make our learners learn more, even in this very new material or the new normal or the better normal that we are facing right now. Okay, so basically in the BB Collaborate, all you get to do as the professor or instructor of that specific section, you have to create. Okay, you have to create every time a scheduled synchronous session is part of your syllabus or the course matrix. If it's synchronous there, you have to do the synchronous or the actual time. All you got to do is to put the session, you can come up with a title. You have to come up with synchronous day 1, for example, synchronous day 2, and so on and so forth, as simple as that. And then you have to fill in necessary information with a guest access, of course, starting and then the ending. And all these elements must be realized, then we can move on to the next, which is you can go and proceed to the actual situation or the actual milieu of the Blackboard page. Okay, and you can see there certain materials that you have to deal with. Don't be very conscious. Again, you are the boss, and you have to not really the boss, but you are the captain of the ship, and you have to show confidence. Okay, even in the first time I was using this Collaborate, I know some students are very good at this already. Just act naturally, okay, as if you're very prepared for this. And sometimes when troubles would come, then you can put it in a more humorous manner and then just go with the flow and so on and so forth. Okay, so they will welcome us. And then You have your, on the left part of the BB Collab, you have your menu bar over there. If you want to record your material, you can start recording. What's the advantage of recording is that your students can go back to the lecture that you made at their own free time. Maybe sometimes they're lost along the way in your explanation or in your discussion, and then they can actually do that. Okay, and they can also report an issue if there are certain students who cannot get through Blackboard, maybe because of their Wi-Fi connectivity or even saturation of Blackboard. Still, you can still report the issue because that could be the basis on why they're late in coming or joining, or they're absent on the entire day. And then tell about Collaborate, and then Blackboard Collaborate Help, and of course the privacy policy that we have to consider. Okay, so then you can have the chat capabilities. Okay. We have the chat capabilities in which your students and you yourself, you can come up with instruction or direction. You can type in all the necessary elements that you need to tell them, like we will start in exactly blah, 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 and so on and so forth. And then they can also chat with you if they got problems or whatever that. And then in the chat box, of course, you have these icons. This is your icon bar. You can come up with certain information there. And then the microphone, unmute, the video, and even the raise hands. Those students who would want to recite, for example, in an online discussion or to raise something, they can do such option. And of course, when you are doing your Collaborate, you have to come up with the following menu. And more often than not, we are actually using the share files, wherein we can put our PowerPoint presentation via PDF format or even PPT format or even Google for the online format. Then you can also do that. And other breakout groups if you want to do interaction activities in your BB Collab. And of course, yeah, that's the way to add files. Then you can come up with, of course, the audio and video settings, just like many of like Google Meets and so on and so forth. So if you're actually doing your online session now, then you can come up with these tools on the upper left part of your screen, wherein you can put arrow if you want to highlight certain keywords. If you want to write something, you can have pencil and you can have text actually, and you can erase everything in a short while. So basically, it's nothing to be afraid of. At first, maybe I'm petrified, I'm afraid, but when you realize and when you get the hang of it, you are really enjoying it. And sometimes, not really sometimes, but just hoping and praying that hopefully this will be the new and better normal, that we don't have to go to school and we don't have to go to the faculty room. But again, I miss the faculty room, so we have to go to school, even after the pandemic. And a lot of my friends and my co-teachers, they say that I prefer online teaching now. It's very good, it's very relaxed, and so on and so forth. Then when you go out of if you want to leave the chat room, then you will be addressed to here. You can submit, you can answer this, or you can skip this material for the BB people or for the EdTech people to know how well they're able to have this material. Then thank you for that matter. Okay. And now let's move on to the fifth part. Are you still with me, Jillian? Kailangan yata ng intermission number nito,
Yes
Jillian.
po, sir.
Kailangan mo ng song number. Are they still with us? We are now
Yes
having
po, sir.
3.3 thousand, and people are greeting from all over the country. Still watching. Thank you so much, Vanessa, for you're still watching. Good morning, watching from Opong, Leyte. Wow. Muna tayo. Okay. How many minutes left for me, Jillian? May time pa ba?
Yes, sir. It's
Gloria
just
said,
10:44 po.
okay, 10:44. I still have 20 minutes more. Yeah, let's make this session interactive. And then, good morning, Learn As One from Jennifer. Saan ba sila? Yes, sir. We are listening from Brenda, Eva. Thank you, Maria, Ma'am Brenda. Watching from Puerto Princesa City. Wow. Thank you. Thank you, Sir Dao. Thank you so much. And Vibal from Nati. Thank you, Ma'am Nati. Thank you, sir, for sharing your, yeah, okay. Thank you, Miriam. From Dipolog. Okay, so thank you so much. Keep on coming up your text. And if you want to come up with a question again, don't hesitate to ask questions later. Okay. So now let's move on to the ways in teaching and learning in the new normal via Google applications. So let's now move on again to the more technical aspect in helping us achieve our objectives and our goals whenever we want to achieve better in the learning process. So of course, many of you are familiar with the Google applications. And according to Christopher Emden, a very professor, Christopher Emden, if we have to learn with each other, we should also learn about each other, and so we can bring each other out. So this is the best time as professors, as assistant professors, teachers, instructors, we have to support each other. If people find it very problematic in this certain aspect, you should have to have a helping hand in order for us to really overcome all the struggles some people might be experiencing at this very part of the new normal thing, or the better normal thing. Okay, so in our LMS system, we are very much free to use what we call the Google Classroom. Okay, and the classroom helps classes communicate, save time, and stay organized. And this is another option also if there's something wrong with the BB Collab, for example. Some students would want us to have Google Classroom instead of that, and we can do that for that matter. And then, of course, here you have to pick your role. Are you a teacher or are you a student? And then let's collaborate via even Google Hangouts. So if you want to do like just like a text messaging service, Google came up with what we call Google Hangouts, where we can message, we can do voice and even video calls. And thank you very much, Google, for this. And thank you, EdTech, for letting us experience this technology or this technical aspects of learning. Okay, of course, we can connect anytime with voice and video calls and stay in sync across your devices. We can do that. And of course, in Google Hangouts, the thing we can do about, of course, we have to have our internet Wi-Fi, our connectivity, but of course, we have to deal with Google Hangouts in a way of which we can make our learners feel at ease with us. Okay, we can do this in our chat. Although a lot of us are also joining Facebook or social media, what we call messaging material, then it could also be applicable. No problem with that. And then we have also Meet, or the Google Meet. Then we can start a meeting, just basically same with the collab, but here we can have it in a small group meeting, or certain like collab with certain members of the class, or maybe clarification of the task per team. All you got to do is to follow, very easy to follow procedure in coming up with a video meeting. And of course, the thing we could also make use of in Google Drive is the slides. Yes, so this is synonymous to PowerPoint presentation. And if you're using Mac application, this is called, I forgot what exactly is that, Keynote. So slides could also be like PowerPoint presentations. And one good thing about here is that you can store all the things that you want to store here in the slides or in the Google Slides, and you can easily access it. We also have Google Sheets, just like what we have in the Microsoft. We have Excel. We can also do that in Sheets via the Google. And of course, our favorite docs, the Google Docs, like the Word, for example, in the Microsoft program, we also have Google Docs, which is very important because very necessary, because all you got to do is to come up with certain things there, and then you can store it, and then you can go back and you can even ask people to edit it for you in a very, very simple, easy to deal with. And of course, we have, actually, I never tried this yet, but this is a very interesting Google application, or technical Google application, or the Google Cloud Print, where there's no need for you to be right there next to the printer, but you can just do a printing via cloud, where you just go and then print everything even without you near the printing or the printer. And the thing I also love about Google, Google is that the Google Translate. Yes, like I can write English and then I can transform it into Spanish, into Arabic, and even to the local Filipino language that we want to. And of course, we have Google Play. If you are with lots of funds, you can also buy certain movies in preparation for your lesson discussion so that they can also access, or even you on your personal relaxed mode. And of course, the thing I love Google also, we have Google News. We can have the headlines on the latest things going on, the general information, what's going on all over the world. And of course, we can personalize our account and make sure its security and everything will be properly set in order for you not to be a victim of hacking. And they also have their Google Currents, and then just it's just like a Twitter, but actually it's more of a thing that you can put just a hashtag also, and then everything will go on smoothly. And one of my favorites Google application is the forms. Yes, we love to do this, especially if we want to come up with our survey, for example, in our research or in our action research, or even simple survey that we ask our students to access, like a survey, for example, on internet connectivity, or a quiz, for example. We can actually do that in forms, and it's very, very users friendly, and you can actually do that. Okay. And finally, we're now moving on to the last part. Yay, we're almost done. And let's read first from the prologue, everybody from Caloocan. Okay. Good morning from Stacy. Zandra says, thank you. You're welcome, Zandra. I hope you learned something so far. Jennifer says, hello, everyone. And what else? From Bulacan. We have listeners from Bulacan. Oh, we have from Sultan Kudarat. Wow. I hope signal is okay. And Rosalie is still watching. Thank you, Ma'am Rosalie. You're still watching, and still watching according to Ma'am Ruby. Okay, so next in my personal experience, we'll now move on to some of the facets in dealing with the games, or what we call our open educational resources. Okay, so as teachers, never ever lose hope, because everything is available there. All you got to do is to have very good Wi-Fi connectivity aside from that. And you have to come up with a very good, wide, vivid imagination and come up with an understanding on where to go. And all you get to do is to just type in open educational resources. So what are open educational resources? These are materials for teaching or learning that are either in the public domain or have been released under a license that allows you to freely use it, to change even, and even to share it with others. Okay, so open educational resources. This is I attended a very, very interesting seminar on open educational resources via the Department of Information and Communication Technology. And the speakers are from the University of the Philippines, Open University. And they are able to come up with a list of open educational resources that you can use. So if you want to do that, you can also check out the webpage of the ICT. They got very interesting webinars, and I'm very happy that the ICT is coming up with such noble thing that they have to do for us teachers and for all those who are reliant with technology. Okay, so open educational resources, there are a lot of categories, but here I am just going to focus on one to save time, since I have very limited time already, and I guess only have 10 minutes left for me. So I will be just focusing on one thing that students really love and teachers would also very keen in doing, because it's very easy to do. Just follow the steps and you can never go wrong. But before that, I have this quote from Louisa May Alcott. I am not afraid of storms, for I am learning how to sail my ship. Okay, so always remember that technology is one way to be very practical teachers. And the technology will make us feel practical in a way, because everything is available. As long as you have your skill, how to research or how to go to the correct source of information, then everything will be just fine. And the storms will be calmed down, and everything will be very fine, okay? And of course, as teachers, we should never get rid of our curiosity, okay? Curiosity, according to Samuel Johnson, curiosity is in great and generous minds the first passion and the last. So we have to start being curious and we have to end our profession of being curious still. Okay, not the curious that I am thinking of right now. Yeah, the rumor mongering curious type, but of course, curious towards the learning that we can give to our learners. Okay, and always remember that we are the learners, or we are the hope of the learners, and we also are very much dependent on the learners. So I am going to share to you and how you come up with Kahoots. Okay, I know many of you might be very familiar with Kahoots, but to those who may not be very familiar with it, all you got to do is to go to the webpage, kahoots.com, and then all you got to do is to come up with your own in your own account. Don't worry, they're not going to send you a lot of spams. No need to worry about that. And then all you got to do is to follow all the necessary elements there. Very easy to read: home, discover, Kahoots, report, groups, upgrade now, share, create. So start create if you want to create. Okay, then you're prompted with this type of choices: creating new Kahoot. If it's new, then you have to create something there, and you are opted to a choice if it's a test knowledge, if it's collect opinion. And under test knowledge, if you want to come up with a quiz show, then you can come up with a quiz. And then if you want to have a true or false, you may also do that for that matter. All you got to do is to type in, click by start typing your question basically. And then you can drag pictures if you want. You can limit the time, and then how many points will you be giving them each question that you're going to give them. And this is very interesting for learners because sometimes, technology, it's going to be very monotonous. It's like lecturing. Start, or even in the middle of our lectures, you can come up with Kahoot in order to break the monotony, or somehow students will have the motivation again to learn some more due to this gamification. And of course, it's always research-based that gamification can really exhibit learning. Okay, so for example, I wrote here my first question: what is the capital city of the Philippines today? Okay, so I highlighted it today. And then all you got to do is to come up with the choices, and you have to give the correct answer. And then the same holds true if you want to have this kind of material, like choices, for example. Only one correct answer, but there are possible answers so that everyone can answer also this way, and also that way. And then you can add finishing touches, like the title of the quiz. This is pop quiz number 1, the general information quiz. And then you can save it to drafts, or you can actually give it to them as part of your lecture discussion for that day. So, and it will look like this, and then question number, and then how many answered this, and so on and so forth. Question number 2, for example, and then question number 10. Okay, so always remember that as teachers, without courage, we cannot practice any other virtue with consistency. So I am always thankful to all those teachers who are really courageous enough to face the challenges of the better normal in doing online classes, in doing modular classes, in doing a mix of all those kinds of technology that they have to use inside and within their campus or their classes. And with that, I would say thank you so much for listening. And if you have any concerns, you can email me at efsarmago@ust.edu.ph. If you have any violent reaction, if you have a reaction or question or suggestion, you can email me through that email. Okay, thank you so much. And again, lastly, according to Doris Lessing, that is, and what is learning? You suddenly understand something you've understood all your life, but in a new way. And with that, I would say thank you so much for the 3,000 people who are listening to me right now, and people who are chatting. And thank you, sir, and God bless. Rachel Venegas said thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so Jillian, we'll proceed
Thank you
now with.
very much, sir. Now we will proceed to the question and answer portion po. Our first question is from Alfie Badilla.
Hello,
Good
Alfie.
morning, sir. How will we enhance students' technical skills if they are insufficient of the resources and technology regarding remote areas?
Yeah, correct. That is why when it comes to dealing with the remote areas, I really go with the government's effort in coming up with a modular. Because yeah, I know it's really hard. Like in the case, for example, of that poor boy in, I mean, not really poor, but the young boy there, the young learner in Bohol, it's dangerous every time he's going to be climbing hills or some trees. Yes, although yes, online learning can really ease or facilitate learning, but of course in certain remote areas we cannot force the issue because yeah, I know what you're thinking. If we could have our ways and we could have our means to really hasten up the connectivity all over the country, it's going to be very tough as of the moment. Budgetary constraints, a lot of issues having right now, pandemic wise, and at least hoping and praying that the government will really hear out those remote areas. I have this even weird experience with some of my friends in Tawi-Tawi who's got it. They would really want to join online classes or online session, but they are having it. They find it very difficult to learn because it's aside from it's choppy. They cannot also understand because there is this evaluation, there is this quiz that they have to take, but they cannot open it right then and there. So the same struggle with you. Maybe I'm very lucky enough that my students in the University of Santo Tomas, they have all their means to access, although some people actually need help, but actually the university is also giving help for them and to access what is supposed to be necessary for online learning. But for remote areas, yes, we have no choice but to materialize with a module. It might be a waste of bond paper. Of course, it's not wasted as long as it's properly done in the module that the government and the teachers, the hardworking teachers in the remote areas, I envy you. I love you. I've been there. I used to teach in Tawi Tawi also. And I know the struggles and the pains and the heartaches that we want to have more, but we are very limited to what we can offer right now. So just don't lose hope. Of course, stay courageous in your stand as teacher, and do not force. If it's really not working, then there's other means. Okay, there are other means to deal with it. I hope I answered your question or concern. Jillian, next.
Thank you so much for that, sir. Our next question is from Mary Joy S. Lagumbay.
Yes.
Sir, do you think we can use group reporting or individual reporting in our assessments?
Yes, yes. Actually, in my case, for example, since I'm teaching communication, I'm teaching purposive communication for freshmen and business communication for third year. Yes, I did that in my assessments, and it could be a group or group presentation or even a live presentation where we can have the Q&A portion afterwards. It can be done. Next, Jillian.
Okay, next question is from Miss Ophelia Rivera Sarvida.
Hi,
There
ma'am,
are
Ophelia.
parents who did not enroll their kids not only because of COVID, but also their mindset that their children would not learn with the new setup of education. So, how can we help parents and students in particular?
Yes, as teachers, we have to assure the parents that learning can still be possible. Okay, so always, yes, learning can always be possible. Yes, there may be challenge, although it's their choice, because even the president would say that we can forgo education for 1 year, but we cannot uh, jeopardize the health. But yeah, I agree with the president on that matter. But again, if we want to convince our learners or even our parents or the parents of our learners that are very much in question on as if they can learn, yes, learning can be achieved. There might be a lot of struggles right now. There might be a lot of challenges, like mothers, for example, working also. They have to go there also with their children. Um, Doing online classes. It happens to us actually because I have 3 kids and my wife should take care of the grade 1 because the school said that there must be an adult supervising. Yes, there is, and there's a lot of struggle whether learning can be done or learning can take place. Of course, learning can take place. There is no question about that. Okay, as long as the teacher is very much ready with all the things content wise and the technical know-how, everything will be just fine. Next, Ma'am Julian.
Thank you. For our last question, we have
Oh, last question.
MCS Dina Tesorio.
Okay.
Good morning, sir. How can we
Morning.
assist pupils who will use modules and can't access in online teaching?
Yes. How can we assess? Again, Julian. Medyo choppy.
How can we assist pupils who will use modules and can't access online teaching?
Mm. I'm not very certain of how DepEd will do this, although a lot of concerns actually towards the teacher, because I know if it's going to be modular, teachers in the government sector will have to do house to house. But in my case, for example, in my son's case, for example, we have an option for modular, but this time all we get to do is to just deliver everything towards the school. And there's no online, there might be online, but this is basically more an announcement, but there's basically no online teaching or face-to-face or synchronous idea there. And so I am not familiar with the government and how they do it, but I heard that teachers will do a house to house to deliver the module and then they collect the module, which also very strenuous for the teachers. And I do hope also that the government would come up with another way to deal with it, not to jeopardize the teacher's health and of course the struggle or the effort made by the teacher in going house to house for that matter. And for those who cannot really go on with online, yes, module is the best alternative. And when we do um, modular, and ideally there should be minimal online. So if we opted for module as much as possible, these people are taking modules because of their inability to do online. So stick to that paradigm or stick to that principle that if it's a modular session, everything generally will be in module. So everything, instructions, and so on and so forth, examinations will be done via module. Okay? Any
That's
other
all the
concerns?
questions we have for now, sir. Any last reminders to our viewers for today po?
Okay, again, thank you so much for listening. Again, shout out to all my friends out there in Cebu, in Tawi-Tawi, in Palawan, and all of you who are greetings me hi here in your chat, in our chat boxes on FB Live. Thank you so much for listening. I'm sorry, overtime ako ng 8 minutes. But anyway, again, thank you so much, Vibal, for inviting me once more to share and to give my personal experiences in the struggles, in the ups and downs of having this new and better normal that we are facing right now. And with that, stay safe and stay healthy. All teachers, okay, be proud of yourself. And I'm very proud of you also. Okay? Goodbye.
There we have it. In behalf of Vibal Group Incorporated, I would like to thank our speaker for today for this eye-opening and insightful learning session. It is an honor to have you with us today, sir. And to all our Kavibal viewers, all thanks to you for your continuous patronage to our daily learning session. Muli, maraming salamat at magandang araw sa ating lahat.